He's won a couple of Emmys. The one, the only 9-year MLB pitcher, Emmy Award winning co-host, Nelson Figueroa. Nelson, what's up, man?
What's up, boys? How's it been going?
You look good, man. I mean, you're not dressed in the suits like you usually are, looking sexy in front of the camera, and you should be excited because your team or your former team made some pretty good moves so far and might make one or two moves before tomorrow. Your thoughts to the Mets moves, and what do you think they have up their sleeves before the trade deadline?
Well, I mean, without a doubt, they just overnight have an elite bullpen. You think about Gregory Soto, left-handed, a guy who even, Jazz Chisholm said it was one of the toughest lefties he's ever faced. Yes, he had a bad game the other night. The 1-2 pitch, left it over the middle, 98 miles an hour, and it got deposited into left field. They lose the game, but he's going to have more success than he's going to have failure. This guy has tremendous stuff. That was the beginning piece, right? Now, all of a sudden, you got these two arms in Rogers and Hesley. You talk about a closer who saved over 40 games just a year ago. Still has tremendous stuff. Two rentals. The Rogers one to me was a little bit surprising about the amount that they paid for the rental. Don't get me wrong, Rogers is a unique talent. 1.8 ERA. He's got 38 strikeouts to 4 walks. Doesn't walk guys. You don't have to worry about him in big pressure situations. The funky arm angle from down below and the frisbees moving upwards makes him a tough at-bat against anybody. And that's the different look that you want to have, right? Than all the power arms going back to back to back late in a ball game. So I thought it was a very nice trade. Two pieces to get tonight. For me, the Rogers one was a little bit steep. When you think about 3 guys, one who's a major league caliber who can start, relieve right now, you can plug him right into your rotation. Also, the other 2 guys, Tidwell was one of their guys that were up and coming. They gave him some chances. He hasn't really panned out as of yet. And then, of course, the outfielder who Drew that they were very high on going into this season. To see him go for a rental, 3 guys for a rental was I thought a little bit rich for that blood and not be a closer type per se, but you got to admit the stuff plays and plays well against any matchup.
So speaking of outfielders, they've been in the market too for center fielder. We've heard Cedric Mullins, Luis Roberts, obviously the big name that they're pushing for. Apparently the White Sox wanted Vientos in that deal, but now they're trying to make it work without it. What would you do at the center field position?
Yeah, center field position, again, I think if you can get Cedric Mullins a little bit cheaper than what they're asking for Luis Robert. I like both players. I do. Mullins, again, he made an unbelievable catch. I don't know if it was tonight or yesterday. We showed it on the highlight. That was a great catch. A guy who plays hard, knows how to run the bases as well. Luis, we saw great things out of him his rookie year. Since then, he's fallen off. Like a lot of the White Sox players, which is a shame. And sometimes you get used to that culture, you get used to that clubhouse, and maybe just a change of scenery wakes you up, brings you back to life. And it's a possibility with either one of those guys. You're looking for an offensive upgrade over Tyrone Taylor, who is fantastic with the glove, but he is a liability with the bat. And so you like having Tyrone as your 4th outfielder, bring him in as a defensive replacement wherever that last guy makes the last out in the 7th. You can bring him in for the last 2 innings to lock things down defensively. But I think Mullins, for me, I think is a better fit. I just think there's too many question marks with Robert and his effort. We've seen that time and time again. That's always been brought up. A guy who has amazing ability, reminds me a lot of Puig, where it was amazing ability, but there's something not all the way there. And do you have time to let that come into your clubhouse and, change the chemistry that's already going on there? I think Cedric Mullins is a much better fit.
Do you think, Nelson, that they kind of, with the Rogers, obviously most appearances since 2020, do you think they handcuffed themselves a little bit, giving away, their system and the way they did it to get that center fielder? Because seeing what they did and the guys that they threw in for that, and I don't necessarily, if I'd have thrown in all 3, maybe 2, but do you think they handcuffed themselves a little bit to get that next tier center fielder in a way where it's like, okay, well, asking prices going up now that you're getting rid of these and guys are coming off the board? You think they kind of strapped themselves a little bit?
I think when you look at it, I immediately went over to the prospect list to see exactly where those two guys were on the Mets prospect list. They were already removed and put on the Giants prospect list. They're ranked 12th and 13th right now for the Giants prospects when you talk about Drew Gilbert and Blake Tidwell. Of course, Buto is going to be in the major leagues. He's going to be, whether it's starting or leaving, he can do both, kind of that Seth Lugo kind of feel that if had the opportunity to start, he could be a pretty good starter, especially nowadays starters are only going 5 innings max anyway. But as a reliever, he's got a guy with a really good breaking ball, really good changeup. And he had some success, at least, that you can say, hey, there's something still there. For me, I don't know. I think they have a lot of prospects that they were really fortunate enough to recoup for the Verlanders and the Scherzers. And when they got that crop for the first time in a long time, you have 10 guys that you could see in a major league uniform, and you have seen. I mean, you look at the young Mets that have come up, besides Vientos and besides Alvarez, the young guys that have come up like Acuna, you got Beatty, you've got Mauricio, the three-headed monster at third base right now. So you have a plethora and a surplus in certain areas, but it's almost as if you don't want to choose the wrong one, because that Pete Crow-Armstrong trade is looking real suspect right about now, right? To go get Javi Baez. But it was a win-now move, right? We didn't know that Pete Crow would put up a 30-30 season so quickly. He wasn't – nobody ever gave the comp that Pete Crow-Armstrong would be a 30-30 guy. The comp was always Mark Kotze. If you're going to go get Javi Baez to try and fortify your team at that time of the deadline, and you've said, hey, Pete Crow could be a Mark Kotze type outfielder, then, good for them that he developed and he showed so much power that I didn't think that they knew about. They knew he had a good stick, but I didn't think they knew that he had 30 home run power in him. And, of course, it's the first time through the league when it happens like that, right? Now the league gets to make adjustments. Vientos is feeling the wrath of that in year 2, of course. So, when you get that little guy coming up and you think, I'll just throw him a high fastball and let him hit a fly ball. That ain't the new baseball no more, right? That used to be the for us, the scouting report without even getting a scouting report. He's a little slap hitting leadoff guy. It's just, what are you willing to give up at this point? And I was very floored about the Phillies deal. That to me was a much better deal to get Duran. That it's a multiple year deal. It's not a rental. This guy's going to be a Philly until 2028, and what kind of plus stuff he has at the back end of the bullpen.
We are talking to former 9-year MLB pitcher, Emmy Award winning co-host Nelson Figueroa. He's been on our show many, many times. We love him. Great personality. Speaking of no love here in New York, especially for the Yankee fans, is Juan Soto. And Juan Soto has said, we haven't had you on the show since what he said before the All-Star game. There was a lot of interesting comments that he made about what he thinks he should be and why he should have made the All-Star team, and why shouldn't I want to be on the All-Star team? I'd be $100,000 richer. And this guy's making $60 million a year. He really made himself look bad. We have attacked him on this show plenty of times. Speedy is a Met fan. Joba was obviously an ex-Yankee, and I don't think he hates the Mets. I don't hate the Mets, but I'm not too fond. I was never fond of Juan Soto here with the Yankees either, just so you know. So it has nothing to do with me and Juan Soto not liking him because he left to go to the Mets. But this guy's an egotistical, crazy SOB, and he makes himself look so very bad when he opens his mouth. Just play the game. That's what I want to say about it. Play the game. Play the way you like to play, and you're going to win a lot of games, and you're going to put up really, really good numbers. Look what happened to him recently because of that, buddy. He can't – the umpires are calling strikes when they're not strikes, and then he's complaining, and now it's only going to hurt him worse as they move forward into the playoffs, because this might happen again because the guy doesn't shut up. Your thoughts to Juan Soto, and why do you think Juan Soto doesn't know when to shut his mouth?
I'll go first on the $100,000 bonus for making the All-Star team. A little bit of sarcasm was thrown in there, obviously, like he needs the $100,000. I get it. You're talking to reporters who are living paycheck to paycheck, possibly. It rubs people the wrong way. But at the same time, it's called sarcasm. I mean, I think you realize he's not hurting for the $100,000. Did he deserve to make the All-Star team? Absolutely. He's one of the faces of baseball, and he's leading all right fielders in home runs and, top 3 in RBIs. I blame the fans. So let's get this straight. I don't blame baseball for not selecting him. I blame the fans for not voting him in. Steve Cohen went out there and spent $750+ million to bring you a superstar in his prime. And he came to New York, and the Chicago Cubs had 2 of the 3 outfielders for the All-Star game because their fans outvoted Met fans. Plain and simple. It was easy. All you had to do was vote Juan Soto. But you know what everybody thought? He's going to be an All-Star anyway. Or they were pissed off because of the way that he started and that slow trajectory, and this guy is so overpaid and blah, blah, blah. But remember what he did in the month of June. In the month of June, he turned it on. His OPS was over 1,100. He all of a sudden wins Player of the Month. How do you do all that and not make the All-Star team? But Jazz Chisholm makes the All-Star team, batting .250 with 17 home runs. So there's a lot left to be desired. Oh, it gets put in the home run derby too. That was fantastic.
Wait, Jazz Chisholm is in the home run derby? I didn't notice.
His name is not Jazz Chisholm. It's Jazz Chisholm. He is Jazz Chisholm. I can't stand the guy.
So when you're talking about guys that run their mouth and open their mouths, there's no comparison in the two. So let's be very, very clear with that. The other guy has done it at the major league level and at an elite level for a long time, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. Remember, as a 19-year-old, him staring down future Hall of Famers in Greinke and Verlander and challenging them to throw their best pitch and then depositing it 430 feet up in the upper deck. So Juan Soto has earned the right to tell an umpire, I don't think that was a strike. And when you watch the tape, they weren't strikes. Okay. So let's be clear. So as the person who has the best eye in baseball, the guy who controls the at bat better than anybody, who knows the strike zone, does he push the envelope? Yeah. Brandon Nimmo used to do the same thing all the time. He 3-2, he just start walking off thinking, oh, I know the strike zone better than the umpire. And there are umpires that take onus to that. When you're talking about having the ability to say something, he was respectful about it the first time. Let him know, because it happened to Lindor. It happened to Nimmo right after that. And then the one that really got everybody's goose was the fastball elevated about neck high that he called strike 3, and then stares him down, waiting for him to say something so he could toss him out the game. That's where you have a problem with the umpires. Listen, if an umpire is going to be bad, and he's bad both ways, then he's just bad. But it's the inconsistency of a guy throwing at the top of the zone, calls it a strike one time, then all of a sudden a breaking ball comes in at the top of the zone, and now he's going to call that one a strike. The other one was a ball. It just doesn't – it's a bad feel for the team, and someone's going to stand up for it, whether Lindor had a little bit to say. I think every batter you saw, even for the Padres. Listen, I'm not saying this guy was only going out for Soto and the Mets, but, I mean, you know what? Soto's in a slump. The top of the lineup's in a slump. They got to do something to wake it up. Mendoza went out there, bit the bullet, got tossed, got his argument in. At the end of the day, Juan Soto is about one thing, and it's about trying to be the best Juan Soto that there will ever be, and about winning. We've seen him do it at almost at every front, right? Got to the playoffs with every team he's been to, has a World Series ring, very early in his career. So he's been there and done that in a way that no other person can obviously say. I mean, Albert Pujols is a guy that comes to mind of where he ranked, what the numbers that he was putting up. He doesn't have the power numbers of a Pujols as of yet, but this is a kid who's only 26 years old that is learning how to hit the home run ball all over the field. And that's a dangerous thing when he can be so patient and so quiet and able to hit that ball when it gets deeper and deeper into the zone. He's going to be a problem for a decade to come.
Now, Nelson, just to put it in perspective, Errol would probably much rather take Juan Soto on his team runner his mouth than Jazz Chisholm.
No, what I really want to know, is where that umpire got his haircut, because
Supercuts had to be.
That is one of the ugliest haircuts I've ever seen.
Maybe it's where Mark Davis gets his haircuts. All right, switching back to the Mets starting rotation now. We've seen they're having some issues with length, especially when Senga was going down to. Obviously, Peterson's done very good with efficiency-wise, getting the ground balls, especially. He's getting a little length, but the length of sides, that's been kind of questionable. Do you think it could be a deadline move for them? Do you think it's an approach that the pitching has to take with Jeremy Hefner? What are your thoughts with the Mets starting rotation right now?
I have loved the experiment of Clay Holmes. I think it's been a win thus far, but you're starting to see the effects of it, right? It's the most innings he's ever pitched at the major league level as a pitcher, let alone a starter. The sinker was ineffective his last start today. Ball's up in the zone. He's only throwing 92, 93 miles an hour. That's not the Clay Holmes we knew as a closer, throwing the 98 plus mile an hour bowling ball sinker that was, almost impossible to hit and impossible to lay off of. I had loved seeing him adapt and being able to throw this kick change 4 times in a row to a lefty and get it out, and then save his bread and butter pitches for later on in the game. He's been a really nice addition. I am of the ilk, and I know he wanted to be a starter, and I know he wants to do everything. But is he going to be one of your 3 starters when you make the playoffs? No. It's going to be Peterson, it's Senga, and it's going to be Minaya. So if he's not going to be one of your 3 starters going into the playoffs, why wouldn't you slide him down and look at the bullpen that you've already put together, and then you could use Clay Holmes? Maybe use him in a longer role if you want to do it that way. Put him as a 3-inning middle reliever. I get it. You're paying him $12 million, but what's $12 million nowadays for an effective reliever? And money means nothing to Steve Cohen. So I think at this point, when you're looking at Clay Holmes, and if you're only going to go 5 with him, then you need a bullpen for the rest of the day. Are you going to be able to piggyback a guy like Blackburn or McGill? I mean, that would be the plan as of right now. But once you start getting towards the end and you get into the playoffs, what is Clay Holmes going to be for you? He's not going to be one of your 3 starters. So are you going to be able to tell him all of a sudden, hey, we need you to dial it up again the way you used to do it? Or can you start preparing him in a way where those 2 starters are coming back off the IL? Can you get them to piggyback a little bit and give him the time to get acclimated to, maybe 3 innings here and there, maybe going 2 innings, maybe becoming a setup man. And I don't think it hurts his value going into next year, because I think there's a lot of teams that if you were going to sign him, it's a 2-year deal that he got with the Mets. But I think if you were going to sign him or he was looking to go elsewhere as a starter, that he can continue to ramp it up and get stronger next year for what he did in year 1 with this experiment.
Yeah, I know a little bit about experiments and how they.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's tough too, because we kind of fell in that too in 2009 with we had the extra off days and Soch was complaining about that, and so I just and that was kind of a question too, like and you kind of touched on it, so I'm kind of gonna veer off too, and I don't think it hurts his development. Obviously, we kind of knew what he wanted to do. Do you think it will hurt him or hurt the team in the long run where he's going to feel like, all right, I'm not going to be one of those 3 guys. I have to go do this. And it's a different mindset. And when you get locked in, and especially when you get into the postseason, it's a completely different animal too. Mm-hmm. And do you try to somehow figure him out in with one of those 3 guys, which I don't think he will. Right. And then if you make that decision, how early do you tell him, hey, this is the plan? Do you wait till the end? Or me personally, I would tell him as soon as you have an idea of, and you can't say it too soon because you don't want to put the cart before the horse, right?
Right. Of course.
You got to get there first.
No doubt. But I do think after this trade deadline is over and you know what you have, you kind of reshuffle the deck on everything, right? If you say you do get another starter, say some reason they blow the Royals out of the water with a deal and they get Seth Lugo in there. You bring back Seth Lugo, and now Seth Lugo is your number 2 starter, number 3 starter, wherever you want to put him. He's undoubtedly
Seth just signed.
I know he did. He signed an extension. Yeah. That just means you got to pony up a little bit more, right?
Right.
So while he signed the extension, that's great, but he didn't sign with a no trade clause to it. So I feel like if that only makes it a bigger deal now. You got to give up bigger prospects. You got to give up more. The Mets have 2 prospects that they are very high on in Tong, who's in AA, and the kid in AAA, Sproat, and McLean. And so they got 3 guys that they're really high on, that if you're the Royals and you're talking about cost effective and under control for the next 5-6 years, maybe you get 1 or 2 of those guys, right? Maybe you get 1 or 2 of those guys and 1 of the third baseman. And then you see where you're at. If you're the Royals. And we know the Royals have done that before. They've done it time and time again. So I still think that it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. The same thing when we thought Byron Buxton would be a tremendous fit as the center fielder in Queens. And what did Byron Buxton say? No, thank you. I'm good. I'm good in Minnesota. I get that. He earned it. He's earned that, the right to have a no trade and been there long enough. But yeah, if you talk about the right fits, so whether it's that was just one of the names that I really liked and thought would be a tremendous fit. There's some other starters that you can put in there, but I think if you're going to get a starter, you're not looking to get a back end guy. You have those already. You have 3 or 4 of those already. But the Clay Holmes experiment, is it about him wanting to prove that he can do this throughout the whole season? So say he gets injured, pushing himself a little bit beyond, right? We get into August, he doesn't make it to September as a pitcher, period. And we're like, well, what were you thinking? He's thrown 125 innings. Like he's tapped. What good is that going to do you come playoff time anyway, right? You're going to put a guy who's, gassed at the finish line, or if you can find a way to even say, hey, like I said, you make him a long reliever if you want to keep guys going only 5 innings. I'm me, man. I'm old school. Like this 5-inning thing, this 5 and dive. Like 5 and dive for us used to be an insult, right? The guy that did it, you're like, oh, bro, are you kidding me? Again, 5 and dive? Must be nice. Now you're like, oh, what a great job. You're getting high fives and everything else. Like that's not a starter to me. Like that was just a long relief appearance for a guy like me. I would come in the 2nd inning and be like, let me see if I can get through 7 for the team. If I could finish the whole game, that was my job. But I think in this day and age, if you're able to, if his plan is to win and be a part of it in a way that can be effective, then you put it out in front of him and see what he says. I think you do it early enough so that he has time to think about it. But I think the writing's on the wall for what you're seeing. What you're seeing is a guy who had tremendous strikeout numbers early on with the new kick change. And, he had added a little cutter to his nasty slider and sinker combination, right? But once baseball started going, oh, Clay Holmes has 4 pitches. Oh, now look at his numbers in each month since then. His walks to strikeout ratio, they're getting a lot closer. They're a lot closer in the month of July than they were in the month of April. The month of April, I want to say it was something like 34-8 or something like that. He was 4-1 at least in strikeouts to walk ratio. And you look and he's barely 1-1. And that's a concern because you're talking about a guy who's used to having swing and miss stuff. Yes, he has a good sinker and can pitch to contact, but I still think that it's more of the stuff isn't as sharp as it was in the beginning of the season.
We are talking to former 9-year MLB pitcher, Emmy Award-winning co-host Nelson Figueroa, friend of the show. I know you're a busy guy, Nelson. I have 2 quick questions for you, and we've been back and forth. One that I think I've argued this with Met fans. It's a Met and Yankee question. First one is, you're talking about the captaincy, and obviously Lindor is the guy, and everybody loves him and all that other stuff. But Pete Alonso, to me, is the heart and soul of this team and this organization. He was a draft pick of the New York Mets. He's been a star. He took away his social medias, stood for something, the polar bear, and now he's going to earn himself a lot of money in the offseason because he will opt out of that contract, and he's going to make a whole boatload of that money. That's my question. I think that Pete Alonso should be the captain of the team, not Lindor. No offense to Lindor. I know he's a great player. He's a great leader, but he is not a Met. Pete Alonso is. So that's my argument to the Met fans. And then the Aaron Boone story. Every single Yankee fan can't stand Aaron Boone. But this guy is not to blame for the Yankees' woes. It's ownership and their analytics. It has nothing to do with Aaron Boone. He's given what he is dealing with. He's he's dealing with the situation, and he's doing what he has to do as a manager. He still has a winning record, and he's still considered a top 5 Yankee manager of all time. Do you think Aaron Boone should keep his job? So those are my 2 questions for you.
Okay. Back to the first one, right? What was the gist of the first one?
Captain. Who do you think should be the captain of the New York Mets?
I couldn't disagree with you more, and here's the problem. You're going with the homegrown idea. Problem is, Keith Hernandez was not homegrown. He was the captain. Before him was John Franco. After him, is John Franco, who was homegrown as far as Brooklyn, but was not homegrown as far as being a Met, drafted by the Mets. He was a Cincinnati Red in his first incarnation into the big leagues. When you look at what it means to be a captain and who has going to be here longer, how can you give the captainship to Pete if he's not going to be here next year? Hello? How are you going to do that?
First of all, and you want to hello me? We know
Yeah.
Pete Alonso is going to be back next year because Stern is not going to let him go now. He earned the money.
Hold on. Stern was ready to let him go last year.
Yeah, well,
Stern actually bought him a ticket to Toronto and said, go ahead, sign with Toronto.
And that shows that Stern didn't know what he was talking about because this guy's been the heart and soul of the team. So the Mets are playing. So I think you wait, and I think you see what you're going to do with him, and then decide who the captain is. I just think he's the heart and soul of this team. That's what I think.
Listen. Since the day he put on a Met uniform, he has been a guy that he gets it. He gets what it takes to be a New York Met, a New York ball player. He gets the grit, determination. He gets you need to have an edge. Florida kid who comes in there and he says, LFGM, changes the vernacular of the team where everything was cut and dried. You can't say certain things. Listen, Pete has been fantastic. Here's the problem. Pete's going to have the home run record, right? And that's great. So say if Pete doesn't come back, you're telling me Juan Soto in the 15 years isn't going to hit 20 home runs a year for 15 years?
No, he is.
So there's a home run record.
He's also going to be.
So there's a home run record.
He is definitely going to be a bona fide DH in about 3 to 4 years as well. So
home runs are home runs. I don't care if he's a DH, the first baseman, or the outfielder. I don't care if he's pitching and he gets to hit him.
The Mets are going to have like 4 DHs on that team in about 4 or 5 years.
This is true. So back to Pete. And listen, I love Pete. I love Pete to death. But here's what the problem is. The Mets know this, just like they knew it last offseason. The market will dictate Pete's worth. Okay? Was there a market for Pete? Nobody signed him. Nobody wanted him. Nobody was ready to jump for whatever number that Boris put out there. And it was said that it wasn't a high number or it wasn't a record-breaking number, but he wanted the $30 million. They knew that. That's why they gave him 30 in the first year and then 24 for the second year if he opted in, right? So he's already taken a pay cut. He already agreed to that contract. So if he's going to opt out and get another deal, it's years, not necessarily money. He's not going to get Guerrero money. Let's be real. He's not going to get Guerrero. He got a year older. And throughout this year, we saw him start out hotter than he's ever been. It looked like the rejuvenated Pete Alonso that came in the best shape of his life, retooled his swing. Pressure wasn't on him as a free agent anymore, even though it is because, again, he was going to opt out. He started out, and it was phenomenal. Can you tell me what his numbers are from the month, about middle of June on?
Yeah, but
are you going to pay?
His numbers are never good in June. But, hey, why did they beat Milwaukee last year? Why did they make that run all the way to the NLCS?
Now I got it. One swing is historic, but I'm not paying a guy $150 million for one swing. I got it. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I love him. I love him as a player. I think he's great. I think he gets it. He's a Met through and through, New York or nowhere. He's wearing the shirt everywhere he goes. He lost all leverage when he started doing all that. And at the end of the day, what matters is the market is dictated by what is available, supply and demand, right? If you look at the first baseman market, why wouldn't you move over Mark Vientos to first base? If you got a guy that you feel that, and you have all these other third basemen, you could do that. And why are you going to pay $30 million a year for Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso's is better than Vientos when it comes to defense because Vientos can't field for crap either.
Whoa. Oh, hold on a second. When Pete Alonso first came up to the big leagues, what did everybody say? Defensive liability. He sucks. He's this. He's that. And if you look it over, please look up how many errors he has made. But he's really good at his scoops. He's first or second in baseball in scoops. Rizzo used to be number 1, and then he was number 2. When you talk about comparing Vladimir Guerrero and Pete Alonso, it's not comparable. You talk about a guy who bats nearly 300 and able to give you 35, 40 home run power. I love the prolific home run power. I love RBIs. I'm a big fan of all that. But what we see is that he does go through these big periods of turning invisible. So do you have the money to do it? Absolutely. Do you have the money to do and get some other pieces that you may need? Absolutely. So I think if Pete wants to take that $24 million and say, let's go $24 million for the next 4 years after that, and it's a 5-year deal on the back end of that at $100 million or $125 million, whatever it is, I think maybe the Mets succumb to that. But if you think he's going to get anywhere near Guerrero money from who? The White Sox? Who's going to pay him that? The
Ladies and
Yankees?
gentlemen,
Will the Yankees pay him that?
ladies
Because the
and
Yankees had a chance
gentlemen,
to.
Nelson
The Yankees
Figueroa-
had a chance to pair him up with Aaron Judge. Why did they do it?
Nelson Figueroa has a love fest for Mr. Lindor. Ladies and gentlemen, now you heard it best.
That's easy. He's here till 2030 some odd. Undoubtedly the leader of the team. He was as clutch as they could be. He's only been chosen as an all-star once, but yet he's the number one in WAR since he became a Met of all shortstops in baseball. And nobody, and it just happens to be like he has a bad first 2 months, and then the rest of the season, who cares? By the end of the year, he's a guy who gets close to 30 and 100. He's able to steal you 20 bags. The defense is undeniable. He's a Gold Glove finalist every year, even though with the Mets he hasn't won one. It's very odd. Not an all-star. That doesn't win a Gold Glove. He finally gets to the all-star
ladies
game.
And gentlemen, a true man.
Yeah, right.
Nelson Figueroa.
That's exactly how it is. But I think it's going to be Lindor if you're going to name a captain. I love Pete, and I thought Pete before Lindor. I said Pete is the next captain when I first saw him. I said, Pete gets it. This guy is great. This guy is a fantastic player. Breaks the rookie home run record, LFGM, the whole 9 yards, put the team on his back, said, this is what I want. He wanted all the smoke with the Yankees and Aaron Judge and breaking his record. He wanted all of it, right? He said, I'm a blue and orange. I bleed blue and orange. And everybody loved it. I said back then he was the captain. Then you got Lindor in a Mets uniform and gave him a 10-year deal. And it was like, if this guy is the real deal like he has been, you want to find it for me and see who's been better than Lindor since he's been a Met?
All right, stop. Now let's hear your Aaron Boone take. I got it. I got the point. You got Lindor. You love him.
What was your other question? Oh, yeah, Booney.
Booney.
Should Booney be fired? Yankees don't have the balls to fire him because you're going to bring somebody in to captain a ship.
Hal doesn't have the balls. He's never had to fire anybody.
You're very right, and you know how it is for them, right? It's that once you're in, you're in. Like you've got to be done with your contract, and you got to be the one to walk away. I don't see them firing Aaron Boone because, again, is it Boone's fault that the players are playing the way they are? Is it Boone's fault that Volpe in year 3 is deciding to see if he can make a record of errors? Is it Boone's fault that the team is constructed in a way that if Aaron Judge is out for any considerable amount of time, that they have a tough time finding ways to win? And you start thinking, man, is it even possible? You're starting to question, will they make the playoffs? Will they secure a wild card? There's a lot of people who feel that way. I mean, we know that Aaron Judge has the flexor strain. You know what they said about his toe 2 years ago? It was just bruised. And then 10 days later, when he wasn't on the field, they're like, well, actually, it's a torn ligament. Sorry about that. He's going to be out for 60 days.
Hey, Nelson. Nelson, I got a question. I got a quick question for you. And this is honest to God truth. Who does Anthony Volpe remind you of that played for the Yankees? A Gold Glove winner in his first year, and now he can't even throw to first base. There was an ex-Yankee that couldn't do that, and he was a Gold Glove winner.
That's easy.
Oh, you got Knobloch.
That's right.
And this is the best part, Nelson.
Knobloch Jr.
Now he gets to learn great defense from their recent trade deadline acquisition of Ed Rosario.
To me, the trade acquisitions were going to tell you exactly what they thought was or how long Aaron Judge would be out. You brought in some pieces, but did you really do anything that has moved the needle for you? McMahon is a better defensive third baseman than what we've seen thus far. He was batting .225 compared to the other two guys who are batting $170. It's funny. Like, I can't believe how many guys are in the major leagues. Joba, correct me if I'm wrong. How many 213 hitters did you see playing in your days?
Not very many. And that's the crazy part. I've been going through, as you see stats come up and you're looking stuff up, 300 is obsolete anymore.
Oh,
and it's
no shot.
And you're looking at it, you're like, man, there was. If you saw a 250 in the lineup back when we played, you'd be like,
that was the soft spot.
Yeah, you're like, all right, good, perfect. This is great. I get a break in the lineup, but yeah, now it's like
unless it was Adam Lynn.
Unless it was Adam Lynn, because I couldn't throw him anything. I think.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we all got that guy, bro. We all got that guy.
It's just interesting how it's changed and what they value so much more than they used to. Great at bats. Yeah, some people that are still old school, I hated it as a pitcher, and so did you. Either strike out, get out, but I don't want to throw you 12, 14, 15 pitches.
Correct. We were taught 3 pitches or less.
Yeah, where dudes took solace in I'm that guy. I may hit
Mm-hmm.
260, but I'm gonna average 4.8 pitches in at bat. Dustin Pedroia,
No doubt.
stupid. Other one that I hated facing was Placido Polanco. That was
That guy was tough.
I think it threw a changeup like one time, and I was like, I've thrown everything else like 6 times. Like I don't know, it sucks, but let's see if it happens. He popped out the second, so
yeah. At that point, I grabbed the rosin bag and leave the ball on the mound and try to see if I could trick him with the rosin bag. I mean, honestly. So I listen. I think one of the things about the Yankees, like I said, they made some trades, and it was Slater. Is that got you screaming championship? Rosario.
First of all, I already said the Yankees should be sellers, and everybody attacked me on social media saying, "What do you know about the Yankees? The Yankees should be sellers. Next year will be their year. You got Garrett Cole coming back, Max Fried, Rodon's pitching well, and then you'll have the best rotation in the American League. You can't even argue that." Aaron Judge healthy, you make a move, maybe you bring in Kyle Tucker, and if you want to sign Bellinger and move him to first base, then you have some kind of lineup. Right now, their lineup sucks, and to me, a bunch of players that shouldn't even be in the major league. So you said it you said it best, and that's all we got to say about the Yankees. By golly, I'd rather sit and watch cartoons than watch the Yankees play right now.
Yeah, it would be like watching. You just need the sound effects, right? Every time there's a ball hit, and you're going to see rumbling, stumbling. Bellinger has been, everything. They got their money's worth with Bellinger. It was a trade, obviously. He's making $25 million. You got $12 million for Goldschmidt. The Yankees team could look a lot different next year. Spencer Jones is down there absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. And while, what's Giancarlo Stanton going to be if Judge is going to play?
Nelson, I got to cut you off. Coach Fish over there said to me, "Oh, we don't know if he can play in the league. He strikes out too much." And all the Yankee fans, trade him. Let's get a big bat. Let's get a relief pitch. Get out of here. Yeah, you keep Spencer Jones. He could be the future of this organization moving forward. Yankee fans, you're idiots. All of you. Stupid. Dumb. Spencer Jones.
There aren't a lot of guys who have come up through the system that you can hang your hat on. And I'll go the last 10 years, just the last 10 years. Want to give me a name? Anybody? Any guy? There hasn't been, right? I mean, I name one Yankee player in the last 10 years. So one of the things I said the other night, the Mets, yes, they lost to the Padres, whatever. But out in the field, all but 2 were homegrown Mets. All but 2, which was Lindor and Soto. Those are the 2 superstars that they signed as free agents. Everybody else was drafted and grown through the farm system. So that's pretty impressive to sit there in this day and age and say, hey, we grew all these. And finally, we're seeing the fruits of our labor. Then you look on the other side with the Yankees, and other than the core 4, give me a starting pitcher that you can say that guy was a great Yankee pitcher. CeCe Sabathia was not an original Yankee, so we can't go with that one.
And either was Heel. Heel was not a Yankee. The Yankees traded for him.
I know. There's no guy that you can say and sit back and go, man, that guy came up. Greg Bird was supposed to be that guy. He was that dude, right, for a while. And then injuries and goodbye. We haven't seen Greg Bird. We didn't see Greg Bird make it to the age of 30 in the big leagues. Aaron Hicks, remember that 4-year deal? Lock him up. Good defensive player, a guy with a solid bat, switch hitter. And nope, he didn't do very well.
Luke Voigt. Voigt wasn't a part of
Justice. Are you talking about Justice Sheffield?
Yes. Sheffield was a guy the Yankees drafted. Saw Clint Frazier. They made a trade. He was from the Yankees organization.
Keep going.
I mean, we could go on and on and on. All failures.
Yeah.
All failures.
Tyler Wade, I think, was one. So
failures.
Yeah.
Tyler Wade would just steal bases and a good defensive player.
But all the Yankee fans love him.
Couldn't hit a lick.
I think. I think in this day and age of what we're seeing, and we're talking about the trade deadline and what where the Yankees at.
Brett Gardner was good. He was a good Yankee from the farm system. Brett Gardner was good.
Listen, solid guy, solid player. All-star, a guy that you're putting in your top 10 of anything.
No.
If you're a Yankee fan, is Brett Gardner making your roster the top 20 of Yankees?
No. He's not making my top 40.
All time?
Yes.
Yeah, all time, of course not, because the Yankees have had, the best of the best. You look at the starting 9 or nobody that was, your grandfather watched those guys play the starting nine. There's no way other than Judge.
I'd rather scratch my balls. That's what I would do.
Now the real question.
And I wonder why you're the mouth.
Now the real question: Where is Jazz Chisholm in Errol's top 300? Nowhere.
Jazz Chisholm is one of the most overrated Yankees that the Yankees have ever had. And Yankee fans love this guy. The guy doesn't shut up. He opens his mouth. He embarrassed himself at the home run derby. That was probably the worst I've ever seen a Yankee hit at a home run derby. And he sits there after the game and after the whole thing and says, hey, we're still a great defensive team and we're the best team in the American League. Get the hell out of here. What are you smoking?
Let me give you where Jazz Chisholm lost me. It was very, very early, and it was when the Yankees were winning. When the Yankees blew Milwaukee out of the water to start the season, and he said the unthinkable. You know how the baseball gods are, right, Joba? It was. He literally said, "Oh, it's like playing wiffle ball in the backyard." What, my man? If that was my day, and this guy just said after they put up a 16 spot on us, it's like playing wiffle ball out there. Do you know how many times he would have been hit? No shot. No shot. He was not going to get drilled at least twice in the next game. And one might have been by me, and I only threw 90. The next one was going to be by our guy who threw the hardest. Wiffle ball, my man? It's the big leagues, bro. Don't disrespect the game like that. Like, that's ridiculous to make that statement.
Errol would pay the Yankees for a one-day contract just to hit Jazz Chisholm.
I would pay the Yankees whatever they want to get a chance to throw the ball at Jazz Chisholm. I can't stand him. I don't like anything about him. Joba stuck up for him quite a few times. I just don't like his mouth. I don't like his personality. He tries so hard, but nobody cares. I do not want to hear this guy open his mouth. What has he won? What has he done? I don't care. I don't want to hear it. He played for the Marlins.
He was the cover athlete for MLB The Show, bro. Come on.
Oh, my God.
Goldschmidt won the MVP, but this guy was the cover athlete for MLB The Show. Explain it to me if you can, because he batted .250 with 14 home runs. I don't get it.
And that's why he played for the Marlins. Personality.
Yeah. It's all the drip. It was all the drip, all my chains and all my shoes. No, stop. The game needs a reset in a way where I like watching guys. And it was funny because I just got a USB drive of some old video, and I got to watch Scott Rowland in his prime hit a home run and run the bases.
Scott Rowland.
And there was nothing better than seeing that guy just calmly sprint around the bases so he could get back in the dugout and let the next guy get to hacking. Just doing his work, lunch pail style. The guy would make highlight plays. It was it was a Tuesday. That's what that play was. It wasn't an ESPN highlight where he needed to talk about it and pop his collar and wear colors that aren't the Yankee color. That gives me such a agita about these guys wearing lime green in Yankee uniforms. You know what it was. Navy blue. You're wearing navy blue and everybody's wearing Adidas. Right? Why? Because I said so. Jeter had the Jordan contract, of course, but there was a uniformity to being a Yankee. He goes out with his hat backwards. You're not Ken Griffey Jr. You've proven that. Home Run Derby should have proven that beyond a doubt. You're not Ken Griffey Jr. Put your hat on the right way. Wearing the green spikes and the green belt and you were there when, what was it? One chain you were allowed to wear. When I was in the minor leagues with the Yankees, I tried to rock 2 fighting necklaces one time. They were like, whoa. I'm like, they're not even gold or silver, bro. These are like supposed to be beneficial for, ionic properties or whatever the hell it was. I'm just trying to, stay in shape and be ready to pitch. And they were like, oh, you can't wear both of those. I popped one off and I threw it in the stands. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Meanwhile, I got to watch this guy have 4 chains on with a charm that's bigger than his chest.
He's probably renting it because he can't afford it. I mean, it's probably fake too. It's probably like I don't know, aluminum or something. I mean, aluminum. Yeah, the guy is
aluminum.
Yeah, he's just an absolute joke. I just don't like. I don't like looking at him. I don't like talking about him, and that's why I gave him the name Jazz Chisholm. Okay. Because I'd rather.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Well,
Keith Hernandez does it all the time.
No,
it's hilarious.
That's why I like Keith. That's why me and Keith are buddies. I should reach out to Keith and tell him, hey, you know what? I'll give you my jazz jism if you really want it.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
Anyways, we love you, man. You've done so many great things. You've done a great job on PIX 11, and
Thank you.
And you're rocking it. You do owe us, a game to go to for the New York Knicks. That's got to happen.
We are doing that.
We definitely
no doubt that's happening.
Maybe we'll invite Joba. I don't know. Joba might rip somebody's head off if he goes to a Knick game. So I don't know.
No, then as soon as we leave the garden, we can just go to my restaurant.
There you
eat
go.
and hang
Yes,
out.
free food.
I like
sounds
it.
Good to me.
I like it.
Sounds good.
You don't got to tell him twice.
Nope.
Well, I mean, I don't eat too much. I'm a cheap date. So, anyways.
We got honey mustard. Don't worry.
There you go. I need that honey, baby. I need that honey. A little mustard, you know?
That's great.
Speedy doesn't shave, so we'll have to keep him away from it.
Yeah,
no dipping sauce for him, if you know what I mean.
Don't worry. I'll go after Jabba's old lube. Maybe I'll make that work.
Well, Jabba actually told us he put lube in his beard. Now, Speedy, have you ever used lube before?
I have not, but I'll have to experiment.
Have you ever smelled?
Lube?
Speedy, have you ever smelt your lube?
No. I have
Interesting.
Not. Jabba, if you need to get rid of the lube out of your house, you could send it to me.
All right. I don't want to scare this guy away.
Oh, God. You have to bring back graphic facts.
I will say this. Our next segment is one of the funniest ones, and we're actually putting it to bed tonight. We call it Analytics. You could stay on and actually listen to it if you want. It is a funny one.
I just got in and been doing this. I'm gonna take my leave of you guys so we can do this again soon.
Absolutely. Tell your wife I said hello.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much.
The one and
I'll see you,
only
boys.
our friend Nelson Figueroa. Fantastic. He is fantastic.
Always.
An Emmy Award winning, as we all know.